Right. So, and since most of the programs, the actual programs we run in the senior center, even host programs too, but if there's something that Aging at Home in Darien does separately, we certainly would be able to put it on that platform. We're just gonna have to learn how to do all this. It's very exciting. I think that it's very forward thinking in terms of the training of folks too that don't know how to use the computer, and also having it as an option. So, and the field representative position for the senior center liaison is currently, people are being interviewed, and it sounds like they have a really good pool of people. So that's going to be very exciting too, because the messaging and all of the needs that we have at the different centers, will be under one umbrella, and we'll have sort of a political representation as well, which we all need. So.
Great. Thank you, Beth. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Beth. Allie.
Good morning. Our Adoptive Family and Senior Program is well underway. We had 50 seniors adopted and 44 families. Thank you to many of you in the room who contributed. And we actually had, for the homebound seniors, 2 sisters in high school deliver them yesterday, and their mother, I'm friends with her, and she was telling me how they really enjoyed it, and some of them were like, come on in, come visit, And I'm like, they had to go moving on their way, but anyway, so they did it last year and they wanted to do it again this year, so it's really great. And this is big news, actually. Operation Fuel is opening their winter season, and I don't know if you all saw, but there's this customer relief plan that the state initiated along with the with Eversource and UI, and Eversource is giving $10 million to Operation Fuel. So what that means is normally our clients could get a delivery or pay an outstanding utility bill up to $500 once a year. Now they can do it up to $1,000 twice a year, and the income limit has gone up to let's say 100% of the state median income. So for a household of 1, it's $66,000. So this is more moderate income. It's not low income anymore. Yeah, right? Everyone's like, oh, maybe I'm eligible. And a household of 4 is $127,000. And that used to be like $97,000. And there's no asset limit. So this is going to open it. I actually even asked them yesterday, if we run out of money, can we get more? And they said yes. Because it's going to open it to so many more people. So we're going to be getting the word out. We just found that out last week and almost couldn't believe what I was reading. So that's amazing. So we're going to be getting that word out quickly because there's going to be a lot more people who are eligible. And then also with energy assistance, this hasn't happened yet, but I did read that the governor wants to allot some ARPA funding to that to also supplement because of the prices of heating and electric and whatnot. So that's also great. So both those programs are well underway, and people can call our office, set up appointments. We do them right in our office. And it's that time of year where here comes the possible first storm. So we'll probably be calling our list of about 100 people, and I think we had a few people. I don't know if it's from people from your
constant contact.
Have called us to join onto it. So that's great. So as you know, we call people before the storm to make sure they're prepared, and then if there are power outages, we check in on them, and it can be, especially if they have medical needs, a priority in terms with Eversource of restoring the power. So that's about it.
Awesome. Questions for Allie? Hearing none, thank you. I know you have to depart, so we appreciate you showing up. Awesome, thank you. Old business. I guess one piece of old business from my perspective is a great annual meeting of the Aging and at Home in Darien. Almost screwed that up. Chris, tell us what was going on with that and give us some more information.
Sure, well, thank you. We had our annual meeting last week and attended by various luminaries, including Joe and several members of this commission. Monica McNally was gracious enough to declare it or proclaim it at Home in Darien Day, and we had Tracy Amara there, new state representative, and AARP local representative, and representative from the Connecticut General Assembly. So really well represented. And I think most importantly, we have 2 members of this commission who participated in our panel discussion, Beth Paris and Peter Etter, and did an amazing job of really carrying the meeting and talking about some of the key issues that this room faces and the community faces. So that was great. It's been an interesting year. I've been in place for 6 months now. We went 4 months before that without an executive director, so a lot of it has been very transitional. But I think I'm fully up to speed and looking forward to the new year. We've got some changes in the new year. We've got a new board member, Marcia Cleary, who's joining us. Jim Metzger, who does dual role here, also continues as our treasurer, thank God, and has been doing such a great job. And Susan Beirut, who is our president for 4 years, is stepping down. She's going to stay on the board, fortunately, and run our events committee. But we have 2 new co-presidents that were announced and introduced at the meeting. William Carney and Peter Sosnow, who are both current board members, so they're very familiar with the organization. So we're certainly hitting the ground running in the new year. So very excited about that. Couple things, just things that we've been doing. We completed our wreath delivery. We work with a local church to create these great, really amazing wreaths. We thought they might be crafts, and they come in with these 20 huge wreaths, ornately decorated, which was amazing. So we selected 20 seniors, and we had a combination of our drivers dropped them off, and we also had volunteers to drop them off. And we've been receiving calls, and thank you. It really was amazing. Then we also completed our leaf raking during the fall. Again, we used volunteers for that, and that went really well. 20 plus families where we came and raked their entire lawn. And then getting ready, unfortunately, for our snow shoveling, where we shovel and again have volunteers that will shovel sidewalks, public sidewalks. So we continue to reach out with different ways to connect with the senior community to offer those services and communicate those services, and we'll continue to do that.
Chris, you also had some good news relating to the service you provide for cars. It looks like there's going to be a potential expansion of that as well.
Yeah, so thank you. Just from a metric standpoint, we're up 40% year over year in the number of rides that we've been giving. And there's some great stories underneath that. I won't go into the details, but it's mostly organic. It's not just because we added it, and we did add a second driver, which I think I mentioned previously. But those rides are going up. And in fact, I had a call yesterday. There's another driver that's interested in potentially joining us. So there's going to be continued growth in the new year. And going back a couple of years, we had 5 drivers, and they were part-time, and we coordinated their schedules. We certainly would like nothing better than to have 5+ drivers, and we think we're going to get there. So we're going to continue to reach out to the community to promote the services that are complementary to the other services in town. So that's exciting, and we're going to communicate other things to the community to make sure that there are 4,000 plus seniors, 60 plus in Darien. We're working with a very tiny fraction, and we want to see that fraction grow and support this community. So thank you for reminding me.
Sure, and one of the cool things I think we're seeing is that Uber and Lyft with young people who many of them don't even drive anymore because they prefer to Uber and Lyft and don't want to pay all the car expenses, I think have taken away the stigma of not driving, right? And so I think that as they see their grandchildren and children taking Ubers and Lyfts, your service becomes that much better because all of a sudden it's not a question of, hey, should I drive myself? I'm autonomous, I want to drive myself, to, hey, my grandchild takes Uber and Lyft all the time. They have to pay for it. Why can't I use At Home and Darien services for free, which I don't have to pay for? Hopefully they'll chip in something as a voluntary contribution. But nevertheless, I think that stigma of taking a car is going to continue to come off the thing, especially as people age towards it, because I know people now who don't own cars. They prefer to Uber or Lyft because the expense of owning a car is so significant.
Yeah, that's another great point. And the term stigma is huge as we speak to people who might use other services who, I don't want to to get a ride from somebody because, you know, I can still drive. Well, there are people that don't have cars. The third member of our panel discussion, Elizabeth Pellegrini, came to us from Brooklyn, came to this community from Brooklyn. I don't know if she's ever driven. So when she came out, she was looking for services that she was able to get in the city and came across us, and she's one of our most dedicated riders. And as part of the panel discussion, she had some other suggestions. So one of the things she suggested was to increase our hours to drive at night. And that's fantastic, and we certainly want to do that as part of our continued expansion. We don't want to basically drive somebody to the bar at night, but so in that regard, we don't want to be Uber. But we do want to figure out how can we really optimize that opportunity. So how can we put together a group that might go to the library, you know, one night a week to participate in one. So now we're interacting and supporting more of the organizations in town. So that's really exciting also. But the point about Uber is great. I hadn't thought about it that way. One of the things that we just need to do is to get some of those seniors that are reluctant to use it, to trial it. Mm-hmm. And so some of the marketing and communications we'll be doing in the upcoming year will be to try to motivate that trial. And once they try it, you know, I'm sure that they will say, this is, to your point, it's free, it's great. And
especially during the winter, at the end of the day, I don't qualify quite yet. But at the end of the day, with the ice and snow and everything else out there, it's that much more dangerous for everyone. So to the extent that they can take a ride with an experienced driver, as opposed to taking their life in their own hands behind the wheel, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Chris.
Sure, thank you.
Any other questions for Chris? Hearing none, thank you. Peter, you have any updates for us on AARP, the legislature, federal government? I know you got it all.
There are a couple important ones, Joe. But let me just first say this. AARP has now really updated its Family Caregiver Resource Guide. And it's really well done. And it's got not only web addresses, but also phone numbers. I can get copies for you, Allie, maybe for your staff. If you need some, let me know, and I'll get a bunch of copies here, okay? And we worked on this a long time. This is a really good resource. But I got a couple of really important things to talk about. Last Friday, all of us that work as legislative advocates in the state of Connecticut met to review last year and to look forward to this year. And this year it's a long legislative session because it's 6 months, so it does not end, it starts in January, does not end until June. And AARP, and again, I'll send this to you electronically. AARP came out with a 2023 legislative agenda, okay? And it doesn't cover everything because, for example, it doesn't focus on what we're trying to do with getting expanded voting. But there's one here, financial exploitation. And I said, when we talked about this, I said, why is this back on the plate, okay? Because a lot of the others, like nursing homes and long-term and drug affordability, they're ongoing things. And AARP discovered that there was a bill that did not see the light of day, proposed by the banking people, that would curtail or negatively affect powers of attorney. Mm. And that was a big surprise. A little bit of history there, right? So about 7 years ago, we were really behind the curve. And Joe, you can talk to this a lot more professionally than I, with other states. And we approached, at that time, Representative Ton, who represented a part of our town, and we said, you know what, this is not good, and it needs to be done. And he was kind of cautious, because he said, there's lots of lawyers involved in this, and I'm not sure. But to make a long story short, he went ahead and passed unanimously both houses an updated power of attorney bill. Well, now it turns out that there's a bill where the banks may be trying to erode a piece of this power of attorney. Good news here. Guess who's heading up the legislative on the banking side this year is Senator Billy Miller. And Senator Billy Miller represents a part of Darien and Stamford. And she is a real advocate for seniors. She's a real advocate for seniors. So this is going to be on our plate by next month. But again, so just illustrates how we've got to be aware of what's going on and how we've got to be proactive, and how important it is for all of us, viewers and this commission alike, to know these politicians, to be able to chat with them, but to thank them and then to alert them. And for example, I said at that meeting, I said, I think Attorney General Tong might be a little annoyed if he finds out what's going on here. So, again, as I said, I'll get a copy of this electronically and I'll share it with you folks.
And we'll make sure that gets into the minutes too.
Again, nursing home, long-term care, again, it's really important. And you know, again, just for those of you that don't know, I mean, up to last year, a nursing home was only required by law to provide 1.9 hours of care per patient. 1.9 hours per care in a 24-hour period. Well, we got it increased to 3 hours. We've got it increased to 3 hours. But that's still not enough. It's still not enough. And another thing we're looking at, because interesting, $1.5 billion goes to long-term care companies that serve 30,000 residents. And we're looking at, they're going to start to look at how they record their finances and how they interact with the companies they own. So these are things that I think, again, are really, really important issues. More to come on that as we kick into the session in January. The only other thing, again, a reminder, AARP tax aid at the Darien Library begins on January 23rd. It's free to anyone. You don't have to be of a certain age. You don't have to be of a certain wealth. You just have to have a simple tax return, and then they will do it for you. So again, look to the library, again, website for the information. It's going to be Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Fantastic. Thank you, Peter. Any questions for Peter? Hearing none, thank you. Other old business? New business? Hearing none. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I will look forward to seeing you in January of 2023. Can I have a motion to adjourn the December meeting? Thank you. Second. All in favor? All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Good job.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.